Welcome to my channel. Today, I want to ask you something. Have you ever felt something your heart wanted, but your mind said no? Have you ever crossed a line you thought you never would? This is not just a story. It is a lesson in feelings, in mistakes, and in heartbreak. As you listen, you won't only learn English, you will also learn about life, and how sometimes the hardest lessons come from the people who make us feel the most alive. So stay with me. Don't skip a second. This is a story that grows deeper with every chapter. Chapter 1. The Quiet Professor. My name is Charlie. I am 37 years old. I teach economics at a big college in the city. I live a quiet life. Some people say I am pretty. I have blonde hair and blue eyes. But most days, I do not think about how I look. I wake up, I go to work, I teach my classes. After work, I go home. I cook a little dinner. I read books. Sometimes I listen to music. My life is calm and simple. I do not date. I do not go out much. I do not feel lonely all the time. But sometimes, at night, when everything is quiet, I feel a little empty inside. I wonder if something is missing. One day I walk into my classroom. It is the start of a new semester. A few new students are sitting in the front row. I see one young man I haven't seen before. He looks up and smiles. His smile is bright and warm. He has dark hair and clear eyes. He looks confident, even a little bold. He looks about 19 years old. I learn later that his name is Mike. He is clever. He listens well. He asks smart questions during my lessons. He always sits close to the front, near the board. At first, he is just a good student. But soon, I begin to notice something different. When I am writing on the board, I can feel someone watching me. I turn a little, and yes, it is Mike. His eyes follow me, not in a normal way. It is not like the other students. His look is longer, warmer. I try to ignore it. I keep teaching. After class, Mike stays in the room. Most of the students leave quickly, but Mike stays. He stands near my desk. He smiles again. "Professor Charlie," he says, "your lecture today was very interesting. You make economics feel alive." His voice is calm. His eyes look directly into mine. I feel my face get warm. I say thank you and try to sound professional. I ask him, "Do you have a question about the lesson?" He smiles again. "No, I just wanted to say you look very nice today. That color looks good on you." I freeze for a second. My heart beats a little faster. I feel strange. I try to stay calm. "Mike," I say, "we should talk about economics, not about personal things." He nods politely, but the smile does not leave his face. Later that night, I think about that moment again. I sit on my sofa with a cup of tea. I tell myself, "Charlie, be careful. He is your student. This is not right." But still, I remember the way he looked at me. It has been a long time since someone looked at me like that. I try to forget it. I go to sleep early. The next few weeks, it keeps happening. Mike stays after class. He talks to me more than other students. Sometimes it is about the lesson, but sometimes it is not. Sometimes it is about my clothes, my hair, my voice. Each time, I tell him gently that we should focus on the subject, but a small part of me, very small, feels something. I push the feeling away. I must be professional. I must draw a clear line. One day he says, "Charlie, I mean Professor, you have a calm way of speaking. I like listening to you." I look at him. I pause. I tell him, "My personal life is not part of this class, Mike. You are my student. We need to keep our roles clear," I say it firmly. He nods. He says sorry. But still, the way he looks at me stays in my mind after he leaves. That night, I sit by the window. I feel the cool air on my face. I remember the look in his eyes. I say to myself again, "No, Charlie, this is not right." But I also know part of me did not want to say no. Part of me felt seen. Part of me felt alive. This is the start of the story. A quiet professor, a bold young student, and a line that should not be crossed. But sometimes feelings grow even when you try to stop them. And sometimes the first no is not the last. Let's keep going. The story is only beginning. Chapter 2. The Holiday Escape. The semester felt long. My days were full of lessons, questions, meetings, and papers to grade. But even more than the work, something else was making me tired. Something inside me. It was the feeling I carried after every class. The feeling I had every time Mike looked at me. Every time he smiled or stayed behind. Every time I had to remind myself, "Charlie, he is your student." This cannot happen. I tried to keep everything inside, but I felt it building, quietly, like pressure under water. I needed to breathe. So one evening, after a long day of lectures, I opened my laptop. I searched for holiday places, somewhere far, somewhere quiet. I wanted sun. I wanted warm air. I wanted the sound of the sea and the smell of flowers in the wind. I wanted to forget work. I wanted to forget everything. I found a small island. It looked beautiful. Blue water, soft beaches, not many people. Perfect. I booked the trip the same night. A week later, I arrived. The air was soft and warm on my skin. The beach was quiet. The sea was calm. The hotel was small and simple. My room had a window that opened to the ocean. I felt peaceful for the first time in many weeks. I thought to myself, this is what I needed. Just me, the sea, and no students. On my first evening, I walked down to the beach. The sun was setting. The sky turned orange and pink. I sat at a beach bar near the water. I had a cool drink in my hand. There was soft music playing. I closed my eyes for a moment and listened to the waves. I was just Charlie now, not Professor Charlie, just a woman on holiday. Then I heard a voice I knew. Charlie? Professor Charlie? I opened my eyes and turned around. My heart stopped for a second. Standing a few steps away was Mike. Mike, my student. He was wearing a light shirt open at the neck. His dark hair moved a little in the breeze. His smile was the same. Behind him were a few young people laughing. I blinked. "Mike?" I said, surprised. "What are you doing here?" He laughed. Holiday, me and my friends. I can't believe you're here. This is crazy. Yes, I said slowly, still trying to understand it. Very unexpected. He walked closer. Can I sit? He asked. I looked around. I was on a quiet beach, far from college. There were no classrooms here, no whiteboards, no rules. I nodded. Okay. Just for a little while, Mike sat down across from me. His eyes looked happy. He looked so different here. Relaxed, free, not a student, just a young man on holiday. He waved at the bartender. Can I buy you a drink? He asked me. I hesitated. I told myself, it's just one drink. It's a beach. It's not a classroom. I smiled politely. All right, one drink. He brought 2 drinks back to the table. We clinked our glasses together. To surprise meetings? He said. I smiled. We talked. At first it was small talk, about the island, the hotel, the food, but soon it felt like something else. We laughed. He told me funny stories. I laughed louder than I had in months. I felt light. My shoulders relaxed. I forgot, for a moment, who we were. We were just Charlie and Mike. The music played gently in the background. The sun had gone down. The stars were bright. The night air was warm. Mike leaned back in his chair. He looked at me for a long second, not saying anything. You seem different here, he said. More open. More, I don't know. Alive, I looked at him. I did not know what to say. He smiled again, not the smile of a student, but of a man who liked the woman in front of him. I felt the tension between us change. It was not loud. It was slow and soft, but it was real. I knew I should stand up. I knew I should say, "Nice to see you, Mike," and walk back to my hotel. But I didn't. I stayed. We had another drink. We talked more. The line between professor and student grew quiet, almost invisible. I looked up at the stars. I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, and it scared me, just a little. But I didn't move. I stayed in my seat. I stayed with Mike. Just one drink, just one night, just one moment to feel young again. But something had already begun. Something warm, something soft, something dangerous. And part of me didn't want it to stop. Chapter 3. The Kiss. The beach was almost empty now. The music from the bar was softer, fading into the distance. The sky above was dark, but the moon was full and bright. It painted silver light across the sand and the waves. I walked slowly next to Mike, my feet bare, the cool water touching my toes. The air felt soft on my skin, and everything around us was quiet, like the world had paused for a little while. We didn't talk much at first. We just walked. Then, slowly, he started asking me questions, not about economics, not about work. He asked about me, about my life, about my dreams, and I answered. I told him small things. I told him I liked the quiet. I liked old movies and black coffee. I liked the way a good book can make the world disappear. He listened, carefully, kindly. Then he talked. He told me about his childhood, his family, how he wanted to do something meaningful with his life, not just follow a job, but find something that made him feel alive. He said he didn't know what that was yet, but he was looking for it. I looked at him as he spoke. His face was calm. His voice was soft. This wasn't a student now asking about homework or tests. This was a young man sharing something real. We kept walking, and then suddenly I felt his hand touch mine, gently. He didn't grab it. He just let it be there, close, warm. I didn't move away. I didn't speak. My heart started to beat faster. "You're not like I thought," he said. "At college, you're so serious, so quiet. But here, you're different. I like this version of you." I smiled, but I didn't know what to say. Then he stopped walking. I stopped too. He turned to me. The moonlight was on his face. He looked at me, slowly, carefully, not like a student, not like a boy, like a man who saw a woman and wanted her to know it. "You're beautiful," he said. "I mean it." I felt my chest tighten. My face got warm. I heard my own voice in my head. "No, this is not right." I looked away. I felt nervous. I felt something bigger than me rising inside. But then I looked at him again. His eyes were still on me. There was no joke, no game in them. Just something honest, something brave. He stepped a little closer. I didn't move. My heart was loud. My mind was quiet. He reached up and touched my face, softly, like I was something breakable. Then he kissed me. It was a soft kiss, not rushed, not loud. It was warm and slow and full of silence. I didn't move at first. My mind whispered, "Stop." But my body didn't listen. I kissed him back, and the kiss changed. It became longer, deeper, the kind of kiss that makes the world disappear. My arms went around him. His hands held me gently. The waves touched our feet. The stars watched above us. And everything inside me felt full of confusion, full of fear, but also full of something I hadn't felt in years. Desire. We stopped kissing, just for a moment. I looked into his eyes. He looked into mine. He whispered, "Come back with me. Just for a little while. Let's not think about college. Let's not think about anything." I didn't answer. I just nodded. We walked together to his hotel. It was a short walk. My heart was beating the whole time. Inside his room, the light was soft. There were clothes on the chair, a book on the table. It was messy, simple, real. He kissed me again and again. One kiss became many. His hands were warm. My breath was quick. His mouth found mine in the dark. We didn't speak. We didn't stop. We spent the night together. It was new. It was wild. It was wrong. But in that moment, it felt right. His arms around me, my body close to his, the sound of our breathing in the small room. It was not love, but it was something deep, something close. Under the sheets, there was laughter. There were whispers. There was warmth. And there was guilt. I didn't say it out loud, but in my heart, I told myself, just tonight, just here, far from college. This is not real life. This is just a moment. But I knew the truth. The line had already been crossed, and we couldn't go back. Chapter 4. The morning after. The morning came too fast. The sun was already high in the sky, and its light poured into the small hotel room like a spotlight. I opened my eyes slowly. My head felt heavy. My mouth was dry. I blinked a few times, trying to remember where I was. Then I felt the warm skin next to mine. Mike. His arm was resting across my waist. The sheets were messy. The air smelled like sea, sweat, and something new. I looked around the room. It was real. It had happened. For a moment, I just lay there. I didn't move. I listened to the sounds outside, birds, waves, a motorbike far away. My heart felt strange, full and empty at the same time. I turned my head and looked at Mike. He was still sleeping. His face looked calm, younger in the morning light. I felt something twist inside me. Part of me felt happy, like I had done something brave, something wild. But another part of me, the deeper part, felt something different. Shame, not loud, not angry, just quiet and sharp, like a small rock in a shoe. I felt it in my chest. I had crossed a line. I wasn't just a professor who made a mistake. I was a woman who let go, and now I had to carry it. Mike opened his eyes slowly. He smiled when he saw me. He touched my hair gently. "Good morning, Charlie," he said. His voice was soft, still warm from sleep. "Last night was amazing." I didn't speak. I smiled a little, but my heart was quiet. We sat up slowly. The sheets fell away. We got dressed. The silence between us was not uncomfortable, but it was different. I was thinking too much. He wasn't. Over a small breakfast at a cafe near the beach, he looked at me carefully and said, "Charlie, do you think we could see each other again?" Quietly, of course. Just us. No one has to know I looked down at my coffee. My stomach felt tight. I didn't answer right away. "Maybe," I said, "but we have to be very careful. This can't affect our work." He nodded. "I understand. I just like being with you." I smiled, but part of me didn't believe him. We flew back to the city 2 days later, back to cold air, gray buildings, and the sound of traffic, back to reality, back to college. The first class after the trip felt strange. I walked into the room, and there he was, sitting in his usual chair, but this time, he didn't look at me. He didn't smile. He didn't wait for me after class. He just sat with his friends, looked at his notebook, and when class was over, he stood up and left. No words, no goodbye, nothing. I watched him walk out the door. My heart dropped a little. Maybe he was just being careful. Maybe he didn't want anyone to notice. I told myself that. I wanted to believe it. But it didn't stop there. The next class was the same, and the one after that. Every time he avoided my eyes. No small comments, no warm looks, no stopping by my desk. Just silence. I felt something cold in my chest. I started to worry. I felt confused, hurt, stupid. Did that night mean nothing to him? Did he just move on? I tried to focus on my teaching. I tried to be professional, but my thoughts kept going back to the beach, to the kiss, to the feeling of being wanted. I remembered his voice saying, "You're beautiful." I remembered the soft light of the moon. I remembered how real it all felt. And now I was invisible. I sat alone in my office after class and looked at my phone. I wrote a short message. "Hi, Mike. Are you okay? Can we talk?" I waited. 5 minutes passed. 10. No reply. I checked again an hour later. Still nothing. The next morning, nothing. My heart started to hurt. Not with love, but with confusion. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know who I had shared myself with. Was it real for him? Was it just a game? Or was he scared now? Of me, of what we did? I didn't have answers, only silence. And silence, sometimes, is the loudest sound of all. Chapter 5. The truth comes out. The week passed slowly. I moved through my days like I was underwater. Everything felt heavier. The lectures, the meetings, the long walks to class. Even my own voice sounded far away. I tried to stay focused. I tried to remind myself who I was. Professor Charlie. Strong. Professional. In control. But inside, I was still waiting. Still hoping. Maybe Mike would talk to me. Maybe he would explain. Maybe there was something I didn't understand yet. Maybe the silence was just fear or guilt or confusion. I told myself not to care. I told myself I didn't need answers. But I did. That Friday afternoon, I had no classes. I walked across the campus toward the cafe. I didn't plan to go inside. I just needed some fresh air, some space to breathe. The sky was gray. The trees were quiet. Students laughed and walked by in groups. I was alone. Then I heard a voice. Loud, bright, full of confidence. It was Mike. I stopped. He was sitting at a table outside the cafe with a group of friends. His legs were stretched out. He was smiling, laughing. The others were laughing too. The sound hit me like a wall. I turned to walk away. But then I heard my name. "Professor Pretty Eyes," one of the boys said with a grin. "So, Mike, did you really do it?" Mike laughed. A hard, proud laugh. Loud enough for everyone at the table to hear. Loud enough for me to hear. "Yeah, man," he said. "It was easy." One night, 3 drinks, and she was all over me. My breath stopped. I stood frozen on the path. I couldn't move. The boys laughed again. "Damn," someone said. "Did you win the bet?" Mike grinned. $1,000. Told you I could get her. The table burst into cheers and high fives. They thought it was funny. Just a joke. A story to tell. I didn't hear the rest. I turned and walked away. Slowly at first. Then faster. I didn't want to run, but my body wanted to escape. My face felt cold. My hands were shaking. I didn't cry. Not yet. But something inside me was breaking. Quietly, deeply. It was never real. Not the compliments, not the looks, not the drink by the beach, not the kiss under the stars, not the night in his room. For him, it was a game, a challenge, a way to earn money and impress his friends. For me, it was a moment of feeling seen, of feeling wanted, of feeling alive again. But for him, it was a bet. I walked back to my office and sat down. I stared at the wall. My body was still, but my mind was loud. I thought about all the little things, his words, his smiles, the way he said, "You're beautiful." I remembered the beach, the moonlight, the way he held my hand. I remembered telling myself, just this once. I had let him in. I had opened a door that had been closed for years, and he walked through it, not with care, not with feeling, but with a plan. I was not a person to him. I was a prize, and he won. My heart didn't just break. It fell apart piece by piece, quietly, without sound, like a glass that cracks from the inside, but doesn't fall right away. I sat there for a long time. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just felt. And for the first time in a very long time, I didn't feel like a professor. I felt like a fool, a woman who believed a lie, a woman who gave her heart to a dare. And now, all I had left was silence. Chapter 6. The Lesson. Charlie sat alone on her small couch, a cup of tea in her hands that had already gone cold. Outside, the wind moved gently through the trees. The city was quiet tonight, the kind of quiet that makes you think, that makes you feel everything more clearly, every word, every memory, every mistake. She had not cried. Not really. A few tears came in the shower, maybe. A few more in the dark. But mostly she felt still, like a lake after a storm. Everything around her had changed, but now it was calm again. Not because everything was okay, but because she was too tired to feel anything else. She thought about the island, the moon, the kiss, the way her heart had opened like a door she thought was locked forever. She thought about Mike's voice, soft at first, then sharp. His smile, kind at first, then cruel. She replayed it all in her mind, again and again, like an old movie with no happy ending. She felt stupid. She felt used. But she also felt something else she didn't expect. She felt awake. All this time, she had lived her life so carefully, so quietly. She followed the rules. She kept her world small, safe. But the moment she let her guard down, the world rushed in, fast and bright and dangerous. She made a mistake, a big one. But now, she knew something she didn't know before. Not all love is love. Not all eyes that look at you with warmth are telling the truth. Not all hands that hold yours are holding your heart. She took a pen and opened her journal, the one she always kept in the drawer by her bed. She hadn't written in weeks, maybe months. But now, the words came easily. She didn't write everything, just one simple line. I wanted to feel young again. I forgot to protect my heart. She looked at the words for a long time. Then she closed the book and set it aside. The next morning, she walked back into her classroom. She wore a black dress. Simple, clean. Her hair was tied back. Her eyes were tired but sharp. Her heart still hurt, but it was quiet now, not screaming. Mike was there. sitting in his usual seat. He didn't look at her. She didn't look at him. There were no more after-class talks, no more warm looks, no more confusion. There was only the lesson. And this time, the lesson was not about economics. It was about strength. Charlie taught the class with a steady voice. Her hands didn't shake. Her mind was clear. She was not pretending to be okay. She was okay. In a new way. In a harder way. In a way that came only after something breaks. The students didn't notice anything different. But she felt it. She was still quiet, but not weak. The heartbreak did not destroy her. It shaped her. And now, as she stood at the front of the room, writing on the board, she wasn't thinking about Mike. She wasn't thinking about the kiss, the beach, or the bet. She was thinking about the future. And for the first time in a long time, she was ready to move forward, smarter, stronger, and a little wiser.